everyone, it's Claire and I'm a senior designer, and today I'm going to show you a clipper grade cut with a scissor blend. Now, children's hair is actually one of the hardest to cut because they don't sit still, so it can make it quite tricky. But this excellent model is going to sit still today so that I can do a tutorial for you.
Yeah, I am going to sit still.
To show you how to cut with a clipper as best as possible. Just pop your head down, please. Now you can see that we've got a hairline that's got quite a few contraindications here. So we've got some rises through the middle. We've also got a little bit of a dip here, so it's got quite a high bone but with a dip in the middle, so it can be quite tricky to get the clipper in there. And we've got a hairline that grows at different angles, so this side grows up this way and this side grows up this way. So those are the points that we need to be aware of today, as well as this crown. As you can see, it sticks up quite a lot, and my model's hair growth grows back here as well. Now, he is only 5, so his hair hasn't fully developed yet anyway.
I'm going to be 6 on Thursday this week.
Yes, you are. You're going to be nearly 6, aren't you? So he's still got very young hair. It's not fully developed yet, and you'll be able to see that around the hairline. It's still quite fine and fluffy. Fab. So the equipment we're going to use today is a clipper. It's always better if you can shampoo the hair before you start to make sure that it's the best hair possible, it's nice and clean, everything's falling in its natural state. So we are going to shampoo and then we'll be back. Okay, so it's really important when you're using a clipper that you put your fingers on the back and hold that grade. It's only that little clip that's holding it on, and you just need that security, because there'd be nothing worse than if you were going in, cutting your clippers on your client and that clipper grade fell off. So for security, always make sure you keep a couple of fingers on that back to make sure you hold that in place. Okay, so we've got our clipper and we're going to hold our client's head, and we're just going to go round with our clipper and take off any of that excess hair. Just making sure you let the clipper come out on its own and you're working with those hair growths that I told you about earlier. Okay, so it's really important when you're using the clipper on the side, you go in at that angle to make sure you get all of those little hairs, and you're keeping your finger on that back that whole time. And just going as far in as you can, letting it come out on its own, watching all of those angles that we spoke about in the beginning of where your problem areas are. And again, when you do that side, you're just going to come in at an angle. And not much is coming off with this clipper because we normally go down a grade. So we're just starting that edge off just so it's got that really soft blend and no harsh lines. So you can see that little bit that I was talking about in the beginning where there's a little bit of a dip in my client's head. So just pop your head down, please. Thank you. And it's just making sure that you follow the angles of the way that hair grows to just get that best possible shape, so you don't make it hard for yourself when you try and get those lines out. And you can see there's that little dip, so it can be quite hard for the clippers to go in. And quite a few clients have that. That's just obviously the way that their head is formed. So you might need to go over that a few times to make sure that you don't miss those little hairs. And you can see again the angle that these grow at. So it's quite important to follow that angle all the way through to make sure we get those. And I use that clipper in the beginning, that longer one, to just get that soft blend. And as you can see with my client's hair already, there's not a huge blend line because there's such a close gap between those two different grades. So we started with a 2 and now we're going in with a 1.5, and then we'll be going on to that base with a 1. So really soft motions. You're doing really well, model. Over a few times into that nape. And then remember when we said about those sides? Head up please. Thank you. We come in at that angle just to make sure that it's nice and soft. And I've got my finger on the back of that clipper just to keep my client protected. And it's just that little corner that's coming off. You're blending through with your clipper as much as possible so you leave yourself not a huge amount of work when it comes to your scissors. And it's just blending that back corner that you started with all the way through to the sides. Thank you, model. Head back up please. Thank you very much. And same again, in at an angle, really soft on the ears. Taking that corner just with some of those clippers. You don't need to use the whole width. And not much will come off in areas, and that's okay. Hair grows at different angles, it grows at different lengths, different speeds. But it's just making sure that you've got a really clear working pattern with your clipper so that everything finishes at the same point. And you can see we've got a little line that we'll need to blend with the scissors. Okay, so we've done a 1, and we've done a 1.5, and we've done a 2. And you can see we've got some blend lines that we're going to need to get rid of. But the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut the top with the scissors. Now we like it quite long on top with just a little bit of softness. We still want to create that little boy haircut. But to be honest, our client's hair is quite thick and quite fluffy. So we will need to take some of that weight out. And we like to wear it spiky with a little bit of gel, don't we? So we will make sure there's a little bit of length left. Okay, so we have done the clipper, and now we're going to work our way through, and I will zoom in at a later stage so that you can see what we're doing. So we're going to be taking a section straight across the top, and we're going to be pulling the first section up, and we're going to be chipping into with our scissors at an angle, so nothing's too straight. We're then going to carry on taking the rest of that section round and blend those 2 points together, so you're just looking for that corner. So it's really important your sections aren't too thick so that you can make sure you can see your guide through the hair, and you can always bend the hair away and check, and those short bits, that becomes your guide. Now the reason that we're going to cut choppy into my client's hair is because we like a very textured, messy style. He's still very young, so we like to have movement in the hair, nothing too structured and nothing too blunt. So it's really important we cut at those angles just to keep that softness. So your scissors are this motion. It's a lot easier when the hair's wet, which is why in the salon we always shampoo our client's hair to make sure we're giving ourselves the best haircut. By shampooing it, you're making sure that A, there's no product in the hair, that there's no kinks and bends, everything's in its natural state. So as we come closer to the front, you'll see there's a lot more length at the front, and that's because we like to wear our hair up, so we retain the length. So when I say retain the length, we pull that back slightly further into the following section to make sure that we're not taking too much off that. We've got a cow's lick at the front here where the hair goes off one way, so we always recheck that when it's dry. So we've just gone through and took all of our sections, and you can see we've left that front that little bit longer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a scissor over comb technique where we're going to be blending these 2 different lengths together to make sure that we've got that perfect haircut. So when you're scissor over combing, take your time, you don't need any big motions. Don't panic when you're only taking a little bit of hair away, because what you tend to find is the shape starts to form the more of those little bits of dusty bits of hair that come off. When you're taking chunks, that's not what you're looking for. So generally if you're taking chunks, then actually you're taking too much hair away anyway. Okay, so we're going to start that scissor over comb. So really small motions, gliding the comb up the hair, using the scissors to take the dust off. And all we're blending here is half a grade at the back. And I haven't cut the crown at all yet, we'll be doing that last, because if you can remember at the beginning of the video, I explained that we have a really sticky up crown naturally. It's very, very straight, grows at different angles. So we always do that last on my client's hair, so we can see how that falls at its most natural. Tiny little bits are coming off on these sides. I did the clipper at that angle, and that is why we do that, so that when you're working with the way that the hair grows, everything sits a lot more comfortable. There's no point fighting against hair that doesn't sit, you know, there's no point cutting it here if it doesn't sit like that, because it's not going to stay. Gentle motions, and it's a very repetitive movement, a scissor over comb technique. You need to do the same thing quite a few times to get that shape. And head down, please. Thank you. So then I'm going to just pick up that crown and just gently start blending the corner. Think of an orange segment and pick them up like that. Again, really choppy is the way we are working with this client's hair. If you do a straight line, you're going to let it stand out quite a lot, to be honest, so it's quite important you do little motions rather than big chunky sections. Okay, so once you've done your scissor over combing, what you're going to do now is start checking everything. So you're combing everything forward, checking for any corners now, cross-checking, making sure that everything is looking the same. We're not looking for straight lines, we're just looking for structure, because we've done that choppy haircut. So the main thing is, as we're pulling out, we're just seeing if there's any loose corners, anything that looks a little bit chunky still. And more importantly, if there's any blend lines. And as the hair starts to dry, you start to see those a little bit more. Fab. Right, let's move to the mini clippers. Okay, so we're going to do the hairline now. And what that means is with that clipper, we want to look for a little bit of structure. So my client's got a very up and down hairline. We've got long points, then we've got kind of patches. So it's really important we kind of try and blend a little bit of a shape. So looking at this hairline, I'm going to go for something quite rounded, as I believe that's what's going to give that softness. So the first thing you do is you go in with your clipper. Head down, please. Thank you. And we put point 1 in. And that's starting off with that long point. And that's where everything's going to meet us. And then gradually, we just ever so gently go across, removing all of those little hairs, giving that A sharp line, but B starting to form a little bit of structure. Because this hairline is one of the main problems on this client's hair. Like we spoke about in the beginning, there's lots of different hair growth patterns. So instantly you can see how much softer that looks. Then we are going to go onto the side and take off those little bits. So really gently, pushing your guide in. A lot of children find this quite tickly. So you do need to go in slow, warning that it's coming, holding that ear, and just using those corners for that softness. And head up, please. Thank you very much. You're doing so well, model. Really gently, little motions. And then we're going to give everything a big check over. Okay, so we're on our last bit of the haircut now, so we are Looking at that crown, we can still see that it's quite long, it's quite chunky, we've not took enough off that. So we need to look at the profile of the hair, and we're just going to gently scissor over comb some of those corners. We know it's going to stick up, so it's all about it blending as much as possible with the rest of the haircut. And just taking that weight out so it doesn't look so chunky, so just by gently softening. And we're going to put some product in your hair today, aren't we? So we are going to show you the best way to put a gel in the hair. And what the gel will do is it will grab to those texture bits in the haircut, and it will give it a little bit of a hold, but nothing too heavy and sticky. And more importantly, the client won't feel that product in there. And we can just brush that out at a later stage. It's nothing too strong, it's very, very low hold. Okay, let's have a close-up. Okay, so we finished our haircut. We're going to add a 5p piece of product, and we are using a gel that is very, very mild hold. It's nothing too strong at all. It actually says that it's got ultimate hold, but we find that it doesn't last very long, so it's really, really good for children because you can therefore brush it out. Okay, so we rub it into our hands, and we're just distributing it all the way through the hair, so making sure we get all of that back, all of those sides, and then you start to style it. So we're going to keep the back and the sides down, and just make it a little bit more looser in texture on the top. And then we actually like to have our fringe stuck up, so we get a little bit more. We make ours quite spiky, don't we? Because you're nearly 6, and 6-year-olds need nice, spiky, cool hair.
Yeah, I want spiky hair so I can look cool.
Yeah? Oh, right, let's have a look at this haircut then, close up, shall we? Okay, let's have a look. So we've applied our gel. Head up, please. And we like it just a little bit spiky and a bit soft at the top. You can see it looks a little bit wet, look, and then when it dries, it just dries really soft. And the main area that just looks so much more softer is that hairline. Okay, and that's the end of our look. So really choppy, really soft, and a perfect blend using a clipper. And it did help that our model sat super still. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, please contact us. Thank you for watching. Would you like to say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.